Okay, so behind me is a Lexus LFA here at the Toronto Auto Show. Very excited to see this here. I didn't think I would be able to. I've been with Lexus between the manufacturing side and the dealer side for almost 10 years now, and I've never seen one in person. So I'm super excited. If you don't know what an LFA is or how special this car is, you need to search up, first of all, how the engine sounds. It sounds like a Formula One car, which is super cool. It's a V10 that was developed with Yamaha and Lexus to get that perfect sound and a ton of power. Also, the entire vehicle is made out of carbon fiber. Now, in Canada, there was a few LFAs sold originally. It was pretty cool. You had to be selected to even have a shot at one. And Lexus would essentially come to your house with this $10,000 briefcase, and you could kind of pick your wheels, your color, your interior, things like that. And one of those lucky buyers got to buy a Nürburgring edition. Now, the really cool thing, as the legend goes, is that particular buyer asked Lexus Canada if they could have an Alcantara steering wheel. At the time, Lexus said, we'll look into it. And a couple months go by, they come back and actually built one with an Alcantara steering wheel. So somewhere out there, there is a Nürburgring edition that was built for a Canadian and has a Alcantara steering wheel. I'm sure that car has long left the country by now, but if it is here anywhere, that would be pretty cool to see. Now, as you look at the LFA, you're not gonna be able to get too close to it, but you can see some things from back when this car was designed almost over 10 years ago that now translated into the current lineup. One of the cool things about it was when it was originally developed, it was gonna be an aluminum bodied vehicle with aluminum frame. And about 10 years in, they decided to make it carbon fiber. Now at that time, Lexus didn't know how to build carbon fiber in a frame or in like a tubular design. So they essentially had to invent a machine to invent a material to invent a car. And that's what makes the LFA so special. So beside me is an LC500 in the flare yellow color, very similar to that LFA that you just saw a moment ago. In fact, it's kind of like a little sister to that car. So when you're at the auto show, come check out the LC500 and I will show you why. So the LC500 features a 5-liter V8 that Lexus took 5 years just to perfect the exhaust note. What's important to know about the exhaust note is it's in perfect octaves, which I'm not a musician, but to a musician, that might mean something. To me, it just sounds awesome. On the front end, you'll notice it's very similar to the concept called the LFLC that Lexus launched with a few years ago. We have this really cool signature light that flows into the actual body of the headlight. So when that's on daytime running light, it looks really sharp and it kind of looks very seamless even though it goes into that headlight lens. We also have the triple beam LED headlight setup with some really cool details. So as you get up close to the headlight, you're gonna see some cool little Lexus squiggly lines that you'll notice on some of the other vehicles, which is really cool. Also, the LC is one of the few vehicles that has the flush mounted handles, and actually is the first one in the Lexus lineup for sure. So how it works is as you approach the vehicle, you can actually just pop that out. You see a little Lexus emblem there and pull and open the door. And when you lock it, those will fold back in to give you that seamless, flush, high-end car look. On the interior, it is very much a Lexus flagship. So we have high quality materials, it's super smooth driving. In fact, I know a couple guests of mine who have driven these cars across Canada and said it was an absolute touring machine. We have a really cool handle in the center with the Lexus touchpad. And everywhere you look in the inside, it's high-end materials. Everything from kind of like an ultra suede Alcantara to aluminum trim pieces to even the floating door handle here on the door panel. You can see there's nothing around it, it just kind of sits there, which is quite nice. Also, you'll see some carbon fiber bits here. So that is said to be built in the same factory that the LFA was built. So what they did was they repurposed some of those carbon fiber manufacturing and was able to do things like the roof here. So this is a performance package. On the performance package, we have a real carbon fiber roof. It does get rid of the glass sunroof, but the glass sunroof on the lower packages doesn't open anyway. So in my opinion, to have that really cool carbon roof is a great thing. Also, it has an active spoiler on the back. So you can see it kind of mounted flush here. There's a couple different modes you can use with the active spoiler, but right now it's just in the down position. Also, I'm just gonna show you the taillights because the taillights on this car are one of my favorite features by far. So you can kind of see some layers to the taillights there depending on what angle you're looking at them from. You can see 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's really cool to see this in traffic or kind of when you're behind one, because at first it makes you almost want to do a double take. And it's just a really cool eye-catching feature of it. It was supposed to, Lexus wanted it to be kind of like an afterburner like you would see on like a jet engine or something like that. To me, I just think it looks super cool. We have the exhaust mounted down there with some piano black kind of trim pieces. You know, this is a vehicle that, is it as fast as a Porsche 911? No, but it's not supposed to be. It's more of a touring vehicle. It's great for long drives, and it also comes in a soft top convertible, which you can see just over to my left here as well. So Lexus has this in the booth right next door. We can't get too up close and personal to it, but it is a soft top version of the car. The important thing is, I don't know how much longer Lexus is gonna make this V8 for. So if you're considering one of these cars, I would definitely do it over the next couple of years. Who knows, maybe it'll even be a collector's piece at some point. Hi, I'm Dustin Mason at Performance Lexus in St. Catharines. And today, we're going to take the LC500 for a little drive. This is a vehicle that I've done walkarounds and showcased buttons and features numerous times on this channel, but one of the things I get asked all the time is, how does it drive? So we're gonna do a driving impression video in beautiful Port Dalhousie is where I'm standing right now. And before we get into the driving impression video, make sure you hit like and subscribe to this channel for some more Lexus related content. But let's go for a drive. Okay, so the vehicle we're driving today is a 2022 LC500, which is very similar to a 2023 model. However, next year for 2024, we are gonna see a little bit of a refresh and some changes. So I'll be doing a video at that time. This particular one here is black on red and actually is the base model. Now, the previous owner of this decided that instead of paying for the performance package, he could use that money and put it into dressing it up a little bit, which is why we see these beautiful Vossen, I think they're called the HF2 rims in a 21-inch size that, you know, there's nothing wrong with the factory LC rims, but on a blacked out model like this, these Vossens look really, really sharp and kind of give it that Batmobile type look, which I absolutely love. Everything else, you'll see, being the caviar color, it's a black paint that has a decent amount of metallic to it as well. On any of the vehicles, I always recommend doing a little bit of a hood guard. So this one has a little bit of an invisible shield on that front hood. Very important on a car like this because the hood has such a slant to it and you don't have to be worrying about things like paint chips when you're driving this car. And that's what this is made for, is a driving car. It's like a touring car, one that you want to go on road trips with and stuff like that. So let's get right into it. Okay, so what you hear there is a flat plane crank, naturally aspirated V8 engine. It's a 5-liter with around 470 horsepower. I think it's around 380 torque or something like that. So not huge numbers, which is why I'm interested to sort of drive this car again. It's been a while since I've been in one because of the Canadian winter. But what I remember is everything is just so solid and heavy that it gives you more of that luxury car feel than just, you know, a rigid sports car, if that makes sense. We have a gorgeous interior here. It's the red leather seating with some really nice red suede accents as well. As I mentioned, this one is the base model, so we have a sunroof. It doesn't open, it's just a fixed pane of glass. If you were to go up into that extra package, the performance package, this goes away and it becomes fully carbon fiber, which also is really cool, but I don't mind having a little bit of light kind of come in, even though I can't open it at all. Okay, so we've already gone over so many of the finer details of the LC, so I think let's just get right into the drive. As soon as I put it into drive, now it is the same shifter as some of the newer Lexuses where it sort of flops back to the regular position that it sits in, but that's already in drive. We have paddles here that maybe we'll try out as well on the drive, and definitely I'm gonna play with moving that gauge cluster, the LFA inspired display, over a little bit. But let's get into it. Okay, so while we're just in the little harbor area of Port Dalhousie here, you know, one of the things I noticed is even in a normal driving mode, I can still hear the engine the exact same as I would if I was in like Sport Plus or Sport mode. So what Lexus wanted to do with that is that there isn't a quiet way of driving the LC. It's gonna be the same personality in terms of the sound that flat plane V8 engine makes, whether you're in eco mode, performance or sport mode, or regular driving situations. So that's a nice little touch so that, you know, someone always gets the best audio impression of the car, I think. I think that's why they did that. Also, I noticed it is really smooth. These roads aren't too, you know, well kept. There is like a lot of bumps, a lot of potholes. And with these 21-inch Vossens, the car is doing a really good job of, you know, maintaining that. Also, a little hidden feature. So in the menu, if we go to climate, you can turn on what's called Lexus Concierge, which is a little sort of figurine there. And Lexus Concierge is going to use some of the sensors in the cabin to maintain a very comfortable sort of heat or cooling situation based on your body temperature, based on the ambient temperature, stuff like that. Essentially, it's like auto climate control, just a lot more high tech. And a lot of people never even turn that on. They always just set the HVAC to low and have that AC sort of like blowing the whole time, where the Lexus Concierge is a much better way to do it, I think, personally anyway. So another thing I noticed about the LC, and this isn't a bad thing, it's probably, you know, for the best, is since the back seats are so small, they're pretty much not even there, they're just there for like insurance reasons, that if you recline the driver's seat, it actually kicks out the bottom. So if I have this seat all the way back, like the bottom all the way back, and then I try to recline, it actually will kick out the bottom. So it's just kind of the way it's set up, I guess, so it doesn't rub the back. That must be the reason. But I'm a taller guy and I don't need any extra space than what the car is designed for. I knew when they launched this car years and years ago, they started with the driver's seats. They actually designed the driver's seating and then designed the interior and the exterior of the car around it, sort of like what Ferrari and Lamborghini do. And because of that, a tall guy like myself has lots of room, and the passenger has lots of room too. Now, the back seat, sort of useless for full-size humans. Maybe you can put a small child back there, or your gym bag is what I would use it for. Mainly it's like a two-seater. A couple of things I'm noticing while driving it is when I look in the rear view mirrors, or sorry, the side mirrors, since the back of the LC is so wide, I actually can see a little bit of that quarter panel and a little bit of the really nice body lines, which I really like it. I didn't expect that. Like, I've looked at the LC, I've done tons of walkarounds on them, I've been on test drives, and once you drive so many cars, you forget about those little details, and this is one of them where I really like that I can see that back part of the car, and it's almost like they designed the styling of it to be beautiful to look at. Okay, so what we're gonna do, now that we're on a little bit of a side road, we're not gonna speed or anything like that, but we're gonna get up to speed from a stop, just so you can hear a little bit of that exhaust, we can see how well it shifts, and also see how quick it is on from a stop. So I'm gonna put it in sport mode for this one. Actually, you know what, we'll do Sport Plus. And we're just gonna come to a stop here. It's a safe rural road, so we can do this, and I'm just gonna punch it. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so lots of power from the dig. The shifts, oh my God. I forgot that when you really punch it like that, the shifts is where you can really hear that exhaust crack. It sounds like a quick shifter on a Ducati motorcycle, like really aggressive, really nicely toned, I would say. Definitely up there with supercars and sports cars, for sure. That was a whole different personality than when we were just driving it in the city a little bit. We're still kind of in the country, so I'm gonna do it again. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we were already rolling a little bit there, so it wasn't as dramatic, but still really nice. I really like the shifts. It is a 10-speed transmission, and I noticed with paddles, ooh, when you downshift, it rev matches and it makes a little bit of nice pops. Oh yeah, very quick shifting. Here's a little bit of an S-corner, S-turn that we're in, and it hugs it. It's lovely. We're in Sport Plus, so we should feel a little bit more of the road. I'll be honest, you don't feel much of the road, even in Sport Plus. It still feels like, you know, that little bit of number, smoother luxury feeling that Lexuses have always been known for. And actually, I'm gonna put it in normal mode for this corner, just to see if there's a ton of body roll. Very smooth in the regular mode. I don't find, there's not a ton of body roll. It's still a very well planted car. I would say, even if it didn't have the Sport Plus, it'd still be a blast to drive, for sure. Also, I will mention something that a few of my LC convertible buyers have mentioned. Now, the LC, pretty much since it came out, has always been a car you have to order ahead of time. So that means you can't necessarily test drive the one you're gonna buy. You just have to, you know, hope for the best, and so far it hasn't disappointed anybody. However, one of the really interesting, I guess, pleasantly surprised things a couple guests have said to me is in the convertible, the exhaust is a lot louder when the top is down than the hardtop coupe. So in the convertible, you can really hear that exhaust behind you a lot more. So I would say if you're someone that wants to hear that exhaust, the inside of the coupe, the one that we're in now, has really good insulation. It's a touring car. And you know, although it does a good job of still piping in a little bit of that sound, the convertible is where it's at for being able to hear the actual exhaust. And if you remember from some of my previous videos, the exhaust was fine-tuned by essentially musicians to have perfect octaves and have like a little bit of a listening experience when you're driving it. So it's really good for car enthusiasts, and in the convertible it's even better. So a couple things when driving the LC that you are going to notice. Lexus did, I wouldn't say cheap out, but they did reuse some buttons from lower end cars in the lineup. Things like these buttons over here for the HUD, for the gas, for the trunk. Those are just normal plastic. Same with the hazard lights here as well. Everything else seems very high end. And in my opinion, if you're going to cheap out on certain things like these buttons and reuse them to save some of the budget for R&D, that's okay. If you're gonna do higher end stuff in other places, which on the LC, they definitely did. So I'm not going to complain about a few buttons that I'm almost never going to use, like the hazards or like the HUD button, stuff like that. If you're gonna have some higher end materials throughout the cabin, or just if you're gonna put that money into other things like the sound of the engine, etc. So let's just do this little corner here. Again, I'm in Sport Plus mode right now, and it's not too bumpy. Like, the roads aren't perfect, and it doesn't seem like it's taking away from the smooth cabin. If I had to say anything about the LC, it's that it's a touring car. This isn't like the Sunday garage queen or whatever you want to call it, because you can drive this car every day. You could daily this car, and you could drive it across the country, and it would be smooth. It's a Lexus, so it's gonna hold its value even with higher mileage. There really is no point to baby this car because it was built so well to be like a touring car, and because it's so smooth and comfortable as well. So you don't need to only take it out when, you know, your back can handle it, because it's kind of like driving an LS in the sense that, you know, it's super smooth as well as fun to drive. A couple other things to note: the cooled seats don't have a button here. Like, you can't, there is no button around here for the cooled seats. You have to do it through the screen. Now, the LS500 was also like that at first, and then I think maybe some people complained and Lexus decided to add a couple extra buttons. So we might see that in 2024, which would be kind of the first refresh of this. So we'll sort of see what Lexus says about that at that time. Otherwise, the steering wheel, super comfortable. We have a little bit of perforation here on the sides, which have a nice grip to it. It's something about a steering wheel that's the right size, that you can actually fit your fingers all the way around, is important. This one has that good grip for that. The buttons here, nothing super special. I think that in the next model, they'll actually be maybe the new intelligent one that we've seen on like the NX and the RX. But for these, nothing too crazy. And like I said before, you can move that gauge cluster over and have some more details to the left of it. Things like range, a G-force meter. You can have another place to see your engine oil temperature. Things like that are just like a little sporty. What gear you're in. So right now we're in 6th gear of 10. go down to 5, go down to 4, listen to that beautiful blurp of downshift that I absolutely love. As we decelerate here, oh, that rev matching is so, so good. Can't go into first, that's why it's beeping at me. There we go. You can only go down to first at a really slow speed, apparently. And under a tunnel, this will be good. This should sound good too. There's a lot of people around though, so I'll just do a little bit. Oh, it's when it shifts. The normal acceleration sounds beautiful, but when it shifts, it reminds me of like a Lamborghini Huracan, my Ducati, like something super exotic. But the rest of the driving experience is quite tame if you want it to be, which is really important on this car. Also, I will notice the shift paddles here are very nice. There's a little ridge on the other side. They're definitely not the normal, I'm just gonna put it normal because it is a little bouncy here actually. They're not the normal shifters that you get on just any old Lexus. In fact, they do seem a little bit nicer. I'm gonna go around this. We're in wine country, so there's vineyards everywhere, and it's middle of the day, so that's why we see so many farm people out doing their thing. Also, so I think these paddle shifters are maybe made of some sort of metal. They don't seem plastic, but they seem super light. Maybe aluminum, maybe magnesium, maybe, I don't know, something like that, an alloy of some sort. So that's pretty good. And the shifting themselves, using them, is really, really quick. I would say one of the quickest in the lineup for sure. The door panels and all the accents around here feel great while you're driving it. Everything feels super, super solid and comfortable. It's very spacious. So you have that luxury car feeling. That's why I think you could drive this on long journeys or every day as a really nice daily, maybe not in the winter because the tires, but as a daily for, 9 or 10 months a year, depending where you live. Even where my arm goes in the center here, there is a lot of space for both me and a passenger. It seems to just rest there. I don't have to force it into a spot. There is lots of different spots depending on how tall you are or how you like to lean when you're driving. And we do have this little handle here, which we've seen in things like the Jaguar F-Type, which is great for not only your passenger if you are gonna do, some spirited driving, but also it's just comfy to have your hand there. Now we're kind of back in the city. We're kind of near Port Dalhousie again. So we're just cruising, we're just taking it easy. And the car seems to like that. And that's a big difference where if you were driving something like a supercar, it doesn't like the slow speeds as much. It doesn't feel at home in stop and go traffic with, dual clutches and stuff like that, where the LC's fine. Also, I just noticed on the bottom of the steering wheel, we have a little bit of that same decoration that's seen throughout the cabin and also on the grille of the LC. It's sort of like a squiggly Lexus emblem, or like a Lexus emblem stacked on top of each other. We see it over there in front of the passenger. We see it on the grille. It's just a little homage, I think. Also, I saw that on the headlight too. Even on the dash here, this seems to be aluminum. Definitely it's aluminum on the handles. So really nice materials, as I mentioned, all throughout the cabin. This heads-up display is really good. Now, today's a really bright day, so I can't see it a ton. And I have gotten used to, on some of the more redesigned models like the NX and the RX, the heads-up display has gotten really big. And this one is sort of just like a normal size. So probably when they redesign it next year, maybe that'll get a little crisper, get a little bigger as well. I'm not too sure. I would say the suspension is tight for sure. Like on these bumpier roads, it's not like I feel every bump, even with these aftermarket wheels. But it is tight, I will say that. And actually the car gets a decent amount of attention too. Especially this one with the Vossen wheels looking like the Batmobile. The only thing it's missing is a big spoiler. Not much tire noise either, even with this setup, and definitely with the OEM 21-inch. Those are really, really solid too. Solid tire setup, solid wheel setup. When you put it in different drive modes, the gauge cluster does change a little bit too. Even between Sport and Sport Plus, like the Sport Plus just makes those RPMs just a little bit more in your face. You can really concentrate on where you're shifting or how you're pushing the car. Actually, let's just do regular sport. Sometimes I put it in sport mode instead of Sport Plus so that I have the throttle response, but not, not the suspension setup. So it's really good in the city for that. And there's also comfort too. So there's an eco mode and a comfort mode. Comfort does loosen things up a little bit in terms of the suspension. It's not tons, like we're not talking night and day difference on any of these settings. But in the city, I am feeling a little bit more bounce, a little bit more recoil. Definitely better for bumpier roads. And then maybe when you're on the highway, you do Sport Plus so that you can have a little bit of more of that precision driving or on the track or wherever you're gonna drive it. In terms of multimedia and stuff, everything is right at your fingertips here, or you can use the mouse pad and this really big volume knob, which is great because I actually like having the controls for the multimedia within reach of this hand as well, like having the track, radio, media, tune, volume in this giant knob, and also you can click down on the knob to shut it off. I like that being there. I find my hand is already there, so why have to reach up to do it? Although I am afraid that next year it's not gonna be here anymore. Because of popular demand, everybody wants a touchscreen again, even though we got away from those a couple years ago. So I think everything's gonna be touchscreen next year for 2024, and they might get rid of the volume knob being here, which I hope they don't. I hope they leave it here because I don't like to have to reach up to do something if my hand's already right here. Also, the visual aspect in terms of like, is there any blind spots or anything like that? Actually, no. As I mentioned before, the back end of the car is big, so you see it in the mirrors, but the windows are big too, and the windshield is big. So there's lots of visibility here, which is very important on a coupe because sometimes the blind spots are really big on a two-door car. And this one, it's not bad. There's a little window behind me as well. And since there's a little bit of a rear seat, that rear windshield isn't right on top of me. So I think that helps with the visual aspect as well. It is kind of nice having the sunroof that I can actually open and close instead of just the carbon. So I really like what the previous owner did with this, going for the lower package, but spending that money on like something to dress it up, either the Artisan Spirits one that we did years ago or the Vossen wheels. All of those things really add a level of personalization, which is nice. Going up to that performance package, it's around 17 grand in Canada, maybe it's 18 now, and it gives you things like, the engine and the horsepower is the same, but it gives you more of an adjustable sport differential. So if you wanted to really push the rear wheels a little bit, you could. But also gives you an active aero, so the rear spoiler would be active. I think it's carbon fiber in that package too. The suspension setup is a little bit different. We also have like some carbon fiber sill plates in the door panels. And I'm sure I'm missing a few things. The wheels are different on the performance package. You do get a lot, but it is a big price increase. So, you could get an Artisan Spirits kit for 14, 15 grand maybe installed and really make it custom, or you could get those really nice factory options. We're almost back at the dealership, and I'm just gonna do one more acceleration here, just in the city, just so you can see, and it's in comfort mode right now. Not bad, we can still hear that V8. It wasn't shifting as fast because we're in comfort. I would say that's the big difference, is it's not like the engine sounds different in comfort mode versus sport mode, but the shifting does. So that's something to consider. That's why actually, I do like the normal and the sport mode a lot better. Park right up front so everybody can see this beautiful LC. Put it in park by pressing this little button here. Obviously the reverse is just over and up. Drive is over and down. And then you can put it in park. You can move it over to the side to put it in manual. Actually, no, you just go straight down to put it in manual. Obviously we can't do that because we're parked. Pretty much that's all the features over here. This one still has a CD player. I bet you they're gonna get rid of that next year. The Lexus touchpad. This little compartment here is where I put the keys, and then when you shut it, it kind of slowly shuts, which is very omotenashi of it. Also, when they designed this drive mode that you saw me play with a few times, They did it so that it's in the eyesight of the driver, so that way it's not a distraction that you have to like look down while you're driving. You can actually just do it from up there. Same with turning off the traction control. Also, there is a snow mode on this side. Not too sure how many people have used that, but it is there. And yeah, overall, that's pretty much the driving experience. Okay, so there you have some driving impressions of the LC500. To me, it's a vehicle that is made to be driven. Whether that's a road trip car, a daily driver, do whatever the touring coupe was made to do, I guess you could say. It sounds great, it drives great, there's some nice fit and finishes, and let us know if you like this style of video. Thanks for watching. I'm Dustin from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines, and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks. Hi, I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines. And today I'm gonna go over the 2024 LC500 Convertible. I'll show you some of the big changes that they've done to this vehicle, as well as some of the things that stayed the same. And if you stay to the end of the video, I'll teach you a little hack on how you can order one for cheaper than all the rest. So stay tuned for that. But before I get into it, make sure you hit like and subscribe for more Lexus related. There are some big changes to the LC500. I'm glad they did not change what's under the hood, which is still the 5-liter, 470 something horsepower V8 with that amazing exhaust sound that took them 5 years to develop. Also, we didn't see a ton of change here. It's still the sort of F Sport spindle grille with a lot of detail and a lot of shapes and things like that. The chrome around it still is just a regular chrome. I thought maybe they would black it out, but they did not. And we have the daytime running lights sort of flowing into the triple beam LED headlights. And there's some details inside those headlights, as well as, you know, the signals and things like that. But a huge change that I absolutely love is this new wheel design. So instead of the 20-inch wheels or the 21-inch wheels, the two different ones, this replaced the 20-inch pretty much, except for now it's offered on the Convertible. I promise you, when I saw this in pictures, I couldn't really tell if I was gonna like it. In fact, one of my favorite guests of mine when they ordered one said, like when the car was coming off the truck and before we saw it for the first time, he was like, are the wheels ugly? Like, did the car come with ugly wheels? And I put my reputation on the line and I said, you will not be disappointed. And I meant it, because when you see this wheel in person, there's a lot more depth and geometry than what you see in the pictures online. And I think that's what the previous wheel design was missing. So to highlight some of them, we still have sort of like a two-tone brush. So we still have these little inserts that are brushed, and actually they're kind of like a Lexus emblem that's flipped over. The rest of the wheel is sort of that darker gunmetal. I don't think it's the hyper silver, but what's interesting is these other spokes, so the ones that are not the brushed aluminum, have some angular to them. And actually, when you're staring at them like from the angle that I'm at right now, it looks almost like they're twisted. Like you can see them sort of have a little bit of that twisted design that we see with things like Vossen wheels, for instance. So I'm super happy with these. It has Pilot Sport S5 on them, and they're normal tires. And what I mean by that is before, they were run flats. So now they've gone to a normal tire setup, so that should mean a little bit smoother ride, but also a cheaper tire replacement when you light up those tires. So that's pretty cool. We still have a big brake kit. It's not cross-drilled and slotted, but huge caliper. I think it's a 6-piston caliper with a huge disc underneath. That concludes my little wheel spiel. The rest of the car is still the beautiful design that we've seen in the past. We do have blacked out chrome sort of on the top of the body of the car, since it's a convertible and everything is down right now, and that ties in nicely to sort of where the roof comes out, which, by the way, is or was the fastest roof at the time. Super quick, super smooth. It does a really great job. It doesn't feel invasive or anything like that. A lot of mechanics and mechanisms sort of spring into life. It's just super easy and quick to do, which is important because if you're in a convertible, especially in Canada, and all of a sudden the weather changes, all of a sudden it's raining, you want to be able to put that roof up quick. All LCs come with this little thing. I wish I had it with me. It's like another wind blocker that sort of clips in on top of those rear seats. I go like this because they're barely seats. But for whatever the reason, maybe insurance, maybe the class of vehicle, it technically is a 2+2. So there technically is seats back there, even though you're never gonna use them because they are tiny. But it'd be good for like a backpack or something. So yes, there is like an accessory that comes with it that's gonna block that off and give you a little bit extra wind resistance. Let me open the door for you. So this is the only vehicle we have in the lineup with this handle, I think still. I don't think the RZ uses it. Nice little detail is we have the Lexus emblem sort of on top there. Now I did notice some new changes, is the carbon fiber here. So we have a clear coated carbon fiber with the Lexus emblem. Even when I drag my hand on the Lexus emblem, it's not recessed and it doesn't stick out. It's not just a sticker, it's underneath a clear coat on that carbon fiber, which is a really nice detail. Then beside that, we have a matte carbon fiber. I don't know why they did matte. Maybe it was for scuff marks when you're getting in and out of it, but this is a brand new one and I can already see scuff marks. So I don't know if the shiny would have been better for that, or maybe it's just easier to clean. I don't think that was there on previous models. There is another cool detail with this composite material inside the door frame. I don't know if it's like a fiberglass or, you know, something of that nature, like more of a raw material, but it does look really cool. It's kind of got this camo effect. And I always liked that there also is some big raw bolts here that also say Lexus. Even there has a little bit of extra detail. We know this car was over-engineered right from inception, and it's cool that when there is anything exposed like that, that there is that level of detail to it. Okay, so sitting in the LC, or even the LC convertible or hardtop, it doesn't matter, you have a ton of space. This is a car that was designed from the driver's seat outward. I even had to bring the steering wheel out and the chair up because even someone that's bigger than me, I'm about 6'1", you could fit in here with lots of room, even with that roof up and even with the hardtop. So on the door panels, we have a little bit of a different material from the convertible to the hardtop, and I think it's just a little bit more durable or waterproof in the convertible. It's not as soft, I find. Feels a little more synthetic, but that's okay. The rest has some huge changes. Number one being the big screen that we have here. So now this is one of those optically bonded glass Lexus interface. That's a huge upgrade from the one that was recessed in with the remote touch that some people liked, some people didn't like. So this is that new system. It's wide, it's very HD, it's super easy to use. And because of that, we have less buttons in the center here. I said that in other videos, that luxury cars are becoming less about how many buttons they have and more about how the cabin makes you feel, which, you know, you don't want chaos, you want a little bit more something calming, I guess you could say. Because of the fact that it's touchscreen, we open up a little bit of space here. Now, there is a shortcut button for heated steering wheel and heated seats. I think this is something they learned from when the LC first came out and also when the LS came out, because there wasn't buttons for heated seat and heated steering wheel. I recommend using the auto settings for all of these because of the concierge and all the climate systems are so smart that it knows when you want to warm up your butt or cool off your butt. It's just really good at that. So you don't necessarily need buttons for it, but sometimes the car doesn't know best and you know best and you want to override it. Press that button. It goes to this screen that controls the climate for your butt and for your hands and all that stuff. You can still turn it on auto or you can override it, use the heated and cooled setting, use the heated steering wheel. You could use the scarf feature where it's like it blows the heat on your neck. So if it's a cold day, there's vents in the seat, only in the convertible, that warm up your neck. I think I call it a scarf usually. I don't know what it's actually called. But anyway, that's on that screen as well. We still have a really nice big volume knob here that is very smooth. It's not like any other Lexus, but most Lexuses have smooth volume knobs, but this one's just unlike everything else. We have a seek track up and down. That's kind of like a half turn, and then a tune, which is like a full turn. So that's interesting. It's very grippy, I would say. And again, it's not like any other Lexus we have. In front of that, there's now a panel view monitor button because guess what? This car has panel view monitor now, which is awesome. And there's a quick button for that. Again, this is a feature you could just leave on auto, but it's nice to have a button to be able to get to it in a pinch. Then we have a cup holder in front of that. Behind it, this armrest or this little wrist rest was mainly so that you can use the remote touch interface when it came out. But it's still there because it's still just comfy to have. And that flips up and you have the ability to roll down all the windows and also to control that power roof. There is still window knobs on the door, don't worry, but there's a quick one here. Then you open up this armrest. There's like a little cup holder thing. I don't know if it's supposed to be a cup holder, but you can open it up, shut it. You'll notice when you shut it, it slows down, just like the tea ceremony, omotenashi, if you remember that. And you can also open this up a little bit bigger. It only opens to the one side. There's a little bit of room in there, mainly just enough for your phone, maybe a few other notes, your ownership, if you're that type of person, and whatnot. Other than that, the interior is pretty much similar to the last one. I'm surprised that with this panel sort of beside the screen that they didn't do what they did with the LS. And what I mean by that is they kind of added some artwork with some depth and some color and some texture. That could be part of just keeping the interior very calming. So there's that to open the glove box, there's an electronic switch right there, sort of integrated into the styling. We still have the handle. We still have the steering wheel that has like the magnesium paddle shifters that kind of remind me of like a Ferrari, the shape of them and how big they are. And they're like kind of like banana shaped instead of like chunky. And we still have things like the TFT display that moves over, inspired by the LFA. Everything on there is pretty HD. It's pretty much the same stuff, even though we now have Lexus Safety System 2.5. So it's not 2.0 anymore, it's 2.5. What mainly that adds is things like if you're turning left at an intersection and there's like a pedestrian or oncoming traffic, it'll look for that now, as well as just a better radar cruise control that, keeps you in the center of your lane. And if there's a curve in the road, it'll also slow down for that curve. So the final change for 2024 is the colors. So we did get rid of this solar flare orange color and replace it with the copper crest that launched with the new RX and has been the headline color for that car. Haven't seen it on the LC myself, but I'm sure it's gonna look awesome. We also got rid of Nightfall Mica, which was like a dark blue, and added Ultrasonic Blue 2.0. So that's what we see on like the IS. Very beautiful color. It came out with like the ISF and the LFA back in the day. That I haven't seen it, but it will suit this very well because it's a lot louder of a color. And then also we added the new silver, which is called Iridium, and it's just a little bit more metallic and flake than the previous atomic silver. Which brings me to my point. If you're gonna order an LC convertible, I found this out by doing my research and kind of by accident, there is a way to save a little bit of money. Now, normally it's like around the 127 mark in Canada right now, but there's a way to get it to like 125.6 or 125.7. So just shy of like $2 grand cheaper. And that is to order it with the blue and white interior. And I think you have to get the blue exterior for that too. So the inside would be blue and white. I think maybe that turns the roof to be blue. Maybe you can get it with the black roof as well. The most important part is that interior. And that's how Lexus was able to sort of advertise this car at that cheaper price point, because you'll see that price point advertised as soon as you start picking your colors and stuff like that. You realize, oh, that's a different MSRP, it's a different suffix, it's a different build. I don't know if they did it because that's a very rare interior color. Not many people are going to order it that way. So maybe that's why they can advertise it low, because like, all right, we can lower that starting MSRP. Or maybe they just wanted to push out that cool interior that I haven't seen yet. So let me know in the comments below. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that was like a way to advertise it cheaper, or do you think they did it, for other reasons? I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm sure I missed a few things because sometimes Lexus will change things and not tell us. The engineers kind of just give us the highlights. So if I missed anything, who knows? Maybe I'll make another video if I discover them at a later date. I'm Dustin Mason. Thank you for watching this video. Please make sure you hit like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if there's any other 2024 models you'd like me to do. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Hi, I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines. And before you watch this video, make sure you hit subscribe so you can be notified for future videos and future content that we're going to do here. And if you have any questions, put it in the comment section and I'll try to get to all the comments. So today I'm standing next to a LC500 convertible, and the question is, does it still have what it takes in 2023? And I'm gonna tell you a few reasons why you need to buy one, even for the future. So let's get into it. The LC500 has a gorgeous front end with a really modern concept type vibe. It actually looks very similar to the concept. Sometimes when you see pictures of these online, people do think it's a concept, and a big reason why is even how the headlights look. So we have a daytime running light here that runs into the actual housing of the headlight. I haven't seen that in any other cars, definitely no other cars in the Lexus lineup. And when that's illuminated, it illuminates all the way into that housing, which houses a triple beam LED headlight stack. And there's some nice little artwork as well. You can see sort of the little Lexus signature squiggle inside that housing, as well as the Lexus emblem. But when you look at the whole grille kind of zoomed out, you notice they've really spread out that lighting system. So we have the signals and four ways down here, that daytime running light, and then the actual housing of the triple beam. And it makes it look very wide, and it is a very wide car to begin with, but when that stuff's illuminated, you can really see how, it's like a wide, like wedge shape vehicle with the spindle grille, which is really nice. When you look closely at the spindle grille, it looks like it took a mathematician to be able to engineer how that grille flows. And what I mean by that is the spacing at the top condenses into the middle and then spreads out at the bottom. And the reason I really like that is it sort of hides the fact that there is a bar behind this section here for you know, I'm sure crash test and safety and all that stuff. There has to be some support there. And the way that they have the spacing is it really blends that in. So it does you know, serve a little bit of purpose for sure. Then we have the normal Lexus emblem. It does have a lot of chrome on this front grille as well, but for some reason for me, it suits the car. I'm not a big chrome guy, but especially in the white, it does look very classy and elegant. And I think they did a good job there. Now, panning over to this side, the first thing you'll notice is how big the wheels are. And they're absolutely amazing. So we have a 21-inch alloy wheel, and the fact that it's like a two-tone chrome and black design really shows off, when you get close to it, the dish of the wheel, which I really like. And we have a matching black brake caliper that you can tell is very big, with a massive rotor as well, to be able to stop all that power of the naturally aspirated V8 engine producing around 470 horsepower to the 10-speed transmission. That's why those brakes are there. It's not a ton of power, but it's enough that you want to stop, especially in a car as heavy as this one. Let's take a look at the side profile. So as we float to the side, we have, instead of chrome here, we have black, which pairs nicely with the tops of the mirrors, as well as, you know, the strips of beside the windshield and, you know, the little decorations all over the place. And there is some venting here as well. We have some venting on the side, and when you notice the venting and you're looking at the LC, one of the things I always look at is that's kind of where I notice how wide it gets. It almost gets wider at the back, especially in the convertible, and that vent kind of, you know, shows that or starts to accentuate that a little bit, which is pretty cool. And, you know, right above that vent is the flush door handle. So when you lock it or when it sits, that'll go back into the body. And if you try to, when the key's in it, it'll beep at you like it's doing right now. But when you unlock it, it'll pop out. And it's just a cool modern take on handles. I think more cars should have that. I would be happy if the whole Lexus lineup had that, to be honest, but I'm not in charge of that. So anyway, as we go to the back of the vehicle, you'll see how big that back end is, especially in the convertible. It just looks like there's so much presence there, and there really is. It's got that, you know, boxer boat tail look, and it still has some nice body lines too. So we have some edges kind of flowing from the front to the back here, and actually continuing even from the side. And then one again here that starts at the tail light and actually disappears to the side of the vehicle, which is pretty nice. And that brings us to the back. On the back of the LC, hands down, the best part of the car is the taillights. So I'm gonna turn those on for you. The taillights are supposed to be like an afterburner. So what Lexus wanted to do was have some dimension there, make it seem like a fighter jet, and the result is amazing. When you're behind one of these at a stoplight, for instance, or a couple cars back, seeing that taillight and seeing the different layers to it looks like magic. How they did it, I think there's some mirrors in there. I think it is magic probably, but the result is amazing. And again, it makes it modern. I don't know how that's gonna weather over the next 10, 15 years, but for right now, it makes it look super up-to-date and modern, which is surprising because this car was designed, you know, probably in the mid-teens. I mean, it was released in 2018, so that design probably went, you know, previous years to that even. So it does seem relevant in today's age. Now, speaking of relevance and the future, an important part about the industry right now. So a lot of things are going hybrid and plug-in, obviously. And because of that, what you notice as you're driving around, more and more cars don't have tailpipe showing anymore. And they're more integrated under the car or under the bumper. And you'll see the LC kind of has that as well. Now there is a tailpipe there. If you get low enough, you can see tailpipes down there. But for the most part, all you see is kind of the decoration and the openings where the taillights are. And the question that I pose when I look at this is, if you're gonna have the LC for 10, 15 years, which, let's be honest, the car will definitely outlast that, when you're driving it around, is it gonna look out of place? Is it gonna look ancient because it's got like tailpipes sticking out? I don't know. I don't know what people are gonna think or what's gonna be in style then. But for right now, the fact that it's kind of flush mounted and a little bit hidden, to me makes me think that it will fit in. And if you don't like that, I have changed them. There's a company called Artisan Spirits that we've teamed up with before and did like a quad exhaust setup that they were offering. And you know, it makes it look a little more muscle car-y, a little more supercar-y to actually see the exhaust pipe. So totally up to you. Again, you know, mention it in the comments, see which one you like better. But while we're back here, let's take a look at the trunk. So to open the trunk, there is a little button here off to the side. It's kind of hidden in, you know, the taillight, but it's nice because then it keeps this area nice and open. So once we press that, you'll see in the convertible, there isn't a ton of space here. Now, it's still a trunk and you can still put some things in there. Right now, this is the wind deflector that actually clips in over top of that rear seat. And you know, the typical user manuals, medic kit, stuff like that. So not a ton of space back here, but there is still a trunk. And you know, at least it has a back seat, which you'll be able to see right now because the top is down. So the back seat, you'll notice, isn't gonna be really for people a whole lot, that's for sure. This seat right now is right up against it, so is the passenger seat, but you could at least put stuff there. When the wind deflector is on, it does clip in right here and it covers this whole area. However, you could still put a few things here, probably maybe some golf clubs or backpack or luggage if you had to. If it wouldn't fit in the back, you could use these rear seats for it. Rumor has it that the fact that the seats are there makes it not a true two-seater, which for insurance reasons and other restrictions makes it a little bit easier. I don't know if that's the truth. It's just something I heard one time and it kind of made sense to me, so I do mention it. Now this one has the gorgeous brown interior, and as we're outside looking in with the top down, you can really see how warm that color is and how much of the interior it covers. You don't see a whole lot of black. I mean, we have a few little accents here and there, and some switches that are, you know, brushed aluminum and things like that. But for the most part, it's all very uniformly colored, which I really like. Now, when you enter the vehicle, you notice the doors are nice, big and heavy, just like a coupe should be. We have, you know, a floating door handle here. But other than that, the door panels are not, you know, the main attraction here. The rest of the interior is. So once you're in the inside of the LC, you'll notice it's very spacious. We have lots of high-end materials. Everywhere you look, it's either, you know, polished aluminum, brushed aluminum, soft, you know, a softer leather type material. There's the floating door handles on the door panel, which I really like. I don't like too much going on there. So it is really easy to grab and feels, again, very high quality. Also, I always think it's important when you have a fast car to have a handle here as well, and this one does have it for the passenger or for the driver, and that's a nice touch to see in a true coupe design. So as we look at the center here, we do have the Lexus interface touchpad. Now above that, we have some controls for the radio, the volume, tune, media, all that stuff. I really like the placement of that because when I'm driving, I can just rest my hand here and get used to the dexterity of all of that and not be as distracted as trying to look up here while I do it. It's more about feel instead of look. So I really like that. I think that won't go away, especially because, you know, everything you touch here is aluminum and higher quality. So that's nice too. In front of that, we have a cup holder there and then a cup holder back here as well. And this center opens up a little bit just from the one side to store perhaps your cell phone because there really isn't anything else to put your cell phone in. The reason that is important to mention, sometimes with cars, they'll have a cell phone holder. And that's great for a couple years, but as the last 5 years have gone, in my opinion, a lot of cell phones got bigger. And as soon as you get in one of those cars and you see how small the cell phone holder is and your phone doesn't fit there anymore, it makes the car seem a little bit outdated, in my opinion anyway. So having it in here, I think it's totally fine. Then it also gets rid of any distraction. With that armrest, when you go to shut it, it slows down at the end there. So it starts off normal speed and then slows down towards the end. The reason for that is said that it's supposed to be a homage to omotenashi, which is a Japanese phrase, but also, you know, it talks about the tea ceremony in Japanese culture. And in the tea ceremony in Japanese culture, as you shut the door, what you do is as you're getting to the closed part of the door, as you're swinging that door shut, it slows down to be that last final click. And Lexus hides that hummage in a lot of their cars. Even when you roll up the windows for something like an RX or probably this LC, it starts off normal speed and then slows down right as it gets to the top for a very classy finish to that motion. So I always like to point that out. There is this hidden little panel here, which is to roll down all the windows, but also control the soft top. So when opening and closing the soft top, Lexus, when they first launched this car, that was a selling feature they would talk about, is how fast that motion occurs and also how you can be driving, I think up to like 40 kilometers an hour, 50 kilometers an hour, something like that. But before I finish off this section, we're gonna do the Canadian test of does your Tim Hortons coffee fit in the cup holder. So an extra large, it's tight and you wouldn't be able to put a CD in or take a CD out, but it does fit there. It doesn't block any of the climate control or anything like that. So you could have your Tim Hortons cup in your LC convertible if you wished, if you wanted to. But anyway, over to the glove box. So over here, we do have the little button to open the glove box. I think it's really classy. That's a little detail that Lexus definitely could have cheaped out on, but didn't. And it's those little things I think that help cars hold value and stay relevant and stuff like that. They could have just put a plastic switch underneath or something, but they did decide to have it electronically operated by an aluminum switch that matches kind of an aluminum panel here. Right above that, we have the Lexus clock, which is a classic. It is a more modern clock in this one where, you know, it is backlit, there is a back to it with design, but to the right of that, we have a little bit of artwork there, which is nice. So it's a little bit lit from underneath. It is the Lexus kind of emblem artwork that we've seen in a few other places around the car. It's nice because in front of the passenger, a lot of times manufacturers don't care what's in front of them. Sometimes it's like cheap plastic, sometimes it's just nothingness. Even though this isn't an artwork that you're gonna sit at and contemplate life, it is kind of, you know, comfortable to look at, I would say. So that's a nice little detail as well. We just have a couple normal vents facing the passenger, but on the passenger door, it is different than the driver door. And what is different is there's an actual handle there. So it's very similar to the handle in the center. There is, you know, some substance there. My theory on that is because of that spirited driving, just like the reason why this one is here. And, you know, if you're whipping around corners at a higher speed, that gives the passenger something to hold on to, which is nice. Other than that, on the interior, we have some, you know, nice Alcantara above the gauge cluster, which, by the way, is an LFA-inspired TFT display. So you can move over mechanically. That motion, as you've seen in other Lexus vehicles, open up, you know, things like G-force meters, stuff like that. And all the drive modes are what's called driver and control. So, you know, you don't have to reach down and look. You can see it in your field of view when you're driving. Switch it from Sport Plus, Sport, Normal, Comfort, Custom, all of the different drive modes. So it's nice to have a little bit of diversity there as well. But overall, the interior, it does have some modern things, but most of it, I would say, is timeless with, you know, the materials, the layout, stuff like that. The only thing I could see perhaps going outdated is things like the screen, but to most buyers, especially when you're buying a car of this caliber, you're not usually buying it for the screen. It's more of the combination of everything added up. So if the only thing that's gonna be outdated, just like our cell phones in 5 to 6 years, is your screen, I don't think that's the end of the world. So, is the LC still relevant in 2023? And the answer to the question of the real reason why you should buy one, and it's a grim one. The real reason you should buy one of these cars, whether it's new or used, is the fact that I don't know how long they're gonna make them for. And I also don't know how long they're gonna make the 5-liter V8. In a world of full electric and hybrid and 4 cylinders paired with hybrid and turbocharged engines, this is a true naturally aspirated V8 with a flat plane crank, and I don't know how many of those are even made by manufacturers anymore. So if I was you, and I might myself, get my hands on an LC500 with the V8, convertible or not, and have the last of perhaps the era of V8s. So thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section if the LC is still relevant in 2023. And let us know if there's any videos that you want to see in the future. Remember, we are a real car dealership here in St. Catharines and part of the Performance Auto Group. And thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one. You ever have one of those stressful days where you wish you can just blow off some steam on your way home from work? Well, let me tell you, the LC500 in a convertible, especially if you live near water like I do, could be that exact therapy that you're looking for. In fact, this is definitely way more healthier than a lot of other options out there. And in today's video, I'm gonna be going over driving the LC500, both with the top up and the top down. So good. Which I've never done before on this channel, to show you the driving experience in both configurations, as well as some of the high performance things. So we have the two-tone white and like that nautical blue color. Since it's the convertible, the material on the door panels is a little bit different than the hardtop. It seems more durable. Like it seems like if it got wet, it would be okay. We do have some carbon fiber on the door sills, as well as some other high-end materials throughout the dash, soft touch. We have like a blue stitching in some points. The seats are kind of like more like the sport seat, which is quite nice. And they do have a secret feature in them, which is the air scarf for the back of your neck, which on a day like today, I'm definitely gonna need. But also, when this car first came out, one of the features it talked about was how quickly, in fact, it's the quickest roof action that you can have in the market at the time. And you could drive up to like 50 kilometers or more while putting it up. And this particular one has a really unique color to the top as well. So it makes it sort of part of the design instead of just a function of that soft top. It's a little bit more unique, I guess you could say, and it matches the vibe that we have on the inside and the outside. So we're gonna be driving the LC500 convertible with the top up for the first lap, and then I'm gonna take it down and be able to test drive it that way. I'm not gonna go anywhere until I put my sunglasses on, which is actually from one of our Lexus guests and a big fan of the channel, so thank you to Natalie for those. So the LC convertible has a few things that like the base LC doesn't have. So I'll kind of go through that while driving. I think it's gonna be really interesting to see the difference between this with the top up as well as driving it with the top down. So first thing I'm gonna do is just get it fired up here. Always a nice startup sound with the LC. And also with a lot of these sports cars, I like that they have this like, I don't know, it's like a seatbelt holder. So you don't have to reach like so far back for the seatbelt. You can kind of just like grab it. It's already almost like halfway there. I'm just gonna drive it in normal mode at first. And then I'll probably tweak it a little bit from there. I'm gonna get out of the startup screen, set up later, because someone is gonna buy this car someday. It does have the LFA inspired dash, so you can move it over and you can see a few things. So I'm gonna do that because I always like to see like the G-force meter for some reason. I know people in the comments are gonna notice that there is some plastic in the interior, and that's because this is our showroom car, so I am gonna try to keep it as clean as possible, all things considered. Heads-up display I have set. The mirrors I pretty much have set. Oh, actually one is pretty low. The thing about the LC is the back is so large. So when you're setting up the mirrors, you can really see the back in the mirrors. You can see how wide that car gets as it gets farther back, which I think is a really cool bit of the design. It's why it looks so good. Now this is a little bit colder of a day, so I'll probably enjoy the first drive more than I will the second drive, because it's like 5 degrees out right now. At the time of day that we're filming, it's gonna just get a little bit darker and a little bit darker. And also I do recognize we're doing this at like a busier time of day. So I hope I still get a bit of open road. Windows are all up. And don't forget there is 4 windows because of it's a convertible. So these quarter glasses can go down as well. One of the things I always do, and it's shame on me, is anytime I do one of these driving videos, which is rare, I never have gas, and today's no different. It looks like the gas light is gonna turn on at some point. By the way, visibility-wise, it's good. Like the way the body is shaped, I really don't feel like I have any blind spots. I know that's crazy to say because when you first look at the rear window, and you can see it in this camera, it looks tiny, but when you're looking at it through the mirror, it like fits it perfectly. So, and I'm definitely gonna be doing some paddle shifts for sure. Another thing about this interior, so this is the white and blue interior, and interiors are so funny because it's one of those things that if you have a black interior, you don't notice it when you're driving. Sometimes even a dark red you won't notice, but when you have something that's like two-tone like this, like the blue and the white, it kind of adds an extra layer to the car, or an accent to the car. So while I'm sitting here, I have this beautiful view of white and blue, and it's like that nautical blue. I don't know, to me, it's adding to the experience of the car, where I'm not just looking outside the car, I'm also enjoying the way it looks inside, or what I can see from inside, which is pretty cool. So we're gonna get on the highway. I'm not gonna go crazy. I'm just gonna take this turn. It hugs it very well. We're just in normal mode. You can hear that V8 coming alive a little bit. Oh, nice swooping turn. We're gonna push a little bit. The tire's already warmed up, and I'm just gonna punch it. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Just a little bit. It's got that nice crackle. I know everybody says the RCF has the same V8, the ISF has the same V8. This is the only V8 that sounds like this, let me tell you. It is a unique beast. And same thing when we just have it sort of downshifting the way I do. Really, really nice, pretty solid. I'm gonna put it in sport. Even in sport, it's not like obnoxious. Like I definitely feel like I can still drive it. And the fuel low light just turned on, which is hilarious. That is the story of my life. So yeah, first impressions, I don't have a lot of wind noise. Even with this top, this is a soft top, but it's a 3-layer soft top. So even sitting here on the inside, it almost feels like a hard top. Like even a lot of the bits are hard plastic. I pretty much can't hear any wind noise right now. Maybe I hear a little bit from the traffic around me. Now this part of the highway is always a little bit loud. I remember that from going on test drives. You can hear the tires on this concrete for like the next couple of kilometers. And I mean, with these tires, they're a little bit softer, I'm sure. So it's no different. Maybe there's a tiny bit of wind, of like noise outside the cabin, but it's nothing crazy. And I like that I can still hear that exhaust as well. And we're gonna put it in Sport Plus. So that changes a little bit of the dash. And now it's gonna make it, the Sport Plus is gonna make the suspension feel tight. So when I kind of like whip it around a little bit, it ends up that it's actually hugging the road quite a bit. All right, punched it a little bit there. You could hear a little bit of the crack and pop. Oh, and the downshifts, okay. Okay. That downshift blip is the nicest I've driven in the lineup, by far. I forgot this car does that. I haven't driven one in a while. Oh my goodness. This is one of those reviews that's gonna cost me money because I'm gonna want one of these. And that's exactly what I feel like right now. Honestly, guys, like I'm not a soft top person. I like this because it doesn't feel like a soft top. Like it feels like I have a hard top above me. And I know people are gonna say the structure of it and stuff like that. Ooh, here's a little bit of a swooping corner. I'm just gonna punch through. It really hugs it well. I'm not going crazy fast, but it feels good. Like this is a car you can have fun with and not have to go Mach speeds to have fun with. Like it's a really fun car to drive. I was going just the speed limit. That's what I'm gonna say. I was going the speed limit through that corner and it felt fun. It's actually less stiff. Like I'm in Sport Plus, I'm gonna put it back to normal. And there's also a comfort mode, by the way. I'm putting comfort mode. Even the Sport Plus didn't feel super stiff. I actually maybe would have liked it to be stiffer if I could have. Really good handling through that corner and it didn't feel like super bumpy. Like I have a 95 Supra with aftermarket suspension and you feel every bump, like you're always jiggling around, and this doesn't have that at all. Next, we're gonna do top down. I think that's gonna be fun. And I hope I don't buy this car because I literally might. Okay, so we have the top down now, and I have the windows up. I have the heat cranked because it is cold out today. I do have the air scarf on. My dash is telling me it is now dropped to 4 degrees. So we'll see how I do once I start moving. Right now, I'm actually pretty comfortable. I'm gonna try it on like a slower speed road and then the highway, and we'll kind of see if I can make it back to the dealership by the time that I freeze. One of the things I already noticed, I can even hear the idling of the engine more with the convertible. And I remember we used to have this guy that worked here named Mitch. He sold one of the first convertibles that we had. He said that was his favorite thing, was that the convertible, you could hear more of the exhaust because of the convertible. Although I do hear the air scarf a little bit. And there's just something about driving a convertible along the coast. I think that's like how they were invented. They must have been invented in like California or something like that. because it is spectacular. It's just a different experience. You guys, I was never a convertible person before today. This is changing my perspective, and it's not even summer yet. So I can only imagine once it is summer. We still have it just in normal mode. I'm gonna put it in sport. We're gonna put it just in sport, just a little bit. Because I don't know how much time I have with this car, so I might as well have some fun while I do it. Life is too short to not have fun while driving fun cars. I can already hear the highway. That's one thing about convertibles is you hear more of the road too, by the way. And I'm just gonna punch it a little bit. What? Oh my God. The pops are legit. Those are legitness, if that's even a word. Oh, and there's like a wall beside me now? Hang on. That's wonderful. That is just unbelievable. I'm so in love with this car. The LC looks tame. It kind of looks like a tamed car. I'm here to tell you it's not. It doesn't have to be. It's all about how you drive it. I'm having a blast in this thing right now. A little bit of windy roads. It's not a super bumpy road. Oh my God, I'm gonna end up buying one of these. I can't afford that right now. Maybe if I get enough subscribers, maybe if we get to 100,000 subscribers, maybe I can buy an LC, but I doubt it. And I would probably do the convertible. I know it's more money. It's so good though. I have a couple hardtop or like just the coupes on order. So we'll see when those come in if I still love the convertible more. But wow, that's amazing. Really excited about this. Here we go. Okay, we're gonna get on the highway. I'm gonna put it in Sport Plus for that because there's usually a good swooping turn as we get onto the highway as well. That's so wonderful. I know I'm supposed to be talking about like the other aspects of this car right now, but I can't because I'm just enjoying it. Oh my God, okay, that was I actually didn't mean to punch it that quick. That was pretty good. And it hugged pretty well too. Okay, so far, even with moving, I have the heated seat cranked, the scarf cranked, and pretty much the HVAC cranked. I'm actually pretty comfortable. I mean, it's 5 degrees now. I would say you could drive in town like this. The sun is out, so I think that's helping a little bit too, down to eco mode. So for this car, there is many different driving modes. So we have comfort, we have eco. So comfort is gonna be a really soft suspension. Eco is gonna be normal suspension, but soft acceleration, the shifting, the AC, the heat will all be in like an eco mode. We have normal mode, which is exactly what it sounds. The car is just gonna try to do its best of all the things. Then we also have custom. So custom, you can change things where it's like a sport chassis, but like an eco engine and transmission if you want. Then we have sport. So sport is gonna leave the suspension normal, but then really make that transmission more of like a high performance transmission. Then we can have Sport Plus, where it's gonna tighten that suspension, the whole chassis is gonna be tight, and it's gonna have the same stuff as Sport does. So those are the different driving modes. I mean, technically there's a snow mode on the other side here, but I think that really just kind of like softens the responsiveness from any of the other stuff. And then there's traction control off, which I know with like the high performance differential setup, you can like, that kind of like makes it more of like an expert drive. I don't think the LC convertible does it that way. I think it does exactly what it sounds like. It just turns off traction control and the VSS and stuff like that too, because they have it so you can't really like drift this car or do big burnouts or anything like that. Oh, you could probably do burnouts, who am I kidding? But I'm over that. That's not what this car is for. This car is to tour and have fun while you're driving it. And it does a good job. And you guys, like, look, we've been driving for a few minutes with the top down, and my hair, I don't have that much product in it, is holding up. We're doing okay. A couple other things. So I've said this in other videos. Actually, my first YouTube video was actually on an LC. It was the Artisan Spirit custom one we did. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. What? That's wild. Oh my God. I'm already gonna be on empty because I just am punching it so much. So my first video on YouTube was actually the LC Artisan Spirits build we did. Super, super cool car. I didn't get a chance to push it because it had the body kit and the wheels and the spoiler on it, so I never really ripped that car. This, the way it comes, I'm in love with. I love the wheels. I love everything about it. Even then, I talked about how the car was designed around the driver. So they started with the driver's seat and the things that go along with that, and then they built the rest of the car around it. That's something we see with brands like Ferrari, like Porsche, and now it's, you know, unbelievable, but that we're not known for that, and now Lexus. And you can definitely see that when you're sitting here. I'm 6'1", I have lots of room. It feels like a cockpit, which again, I have a 90s sports car that was designed to be like a cockpit, and that's exactly what I feel like in this car. Some of it reminds me of the Jaguar F-Type from a couple years back before the redesign. The way the engine sounds, the handle that we have in the center, sort of the driving dynamics all remind me of the Jag, just with the Lexus finishing touches, which I think is pretty cool. I'm getting cold though. I am getting a little bit cold. I forgot to put in, there is a baffle for this back seat that actually prevents a little bit of the wind from coming in. It's in my office at work. It's still in the box. I totally forgot to put it in today because this would have been a really good way to test it, but maybe that'll give me an excuse to drive it again. We all know I want to. Okay, we're doing Sport Plus to get on the highway. And it's a little bit of a roundabout, so that's kind of fun. Here we go. Nice, really tight, tight. The tire's already warm, so I can punch it a little bit. Oh my God, it's so good. Gonna hold that gear just a little bit as we go to get on. Again, we're not speeding. We're just driving the car the way it should be. I missed a shift. I can't believe I missed a shift. But it sounded so good. When Toyota Lexus, whenever they have a rev limiter, it sounds amazing. Okay, enough about that. Let's talk about the actual driving. So it's not super windy. Like, yes, a few things are flying around in here. It's not too bad. I do hear lots of noise because now we're outside. That makes sense. I'm still pretty warm. A little bit chilly, but for the most part, I'm still pretty warm. Like, I'm not even wearing a jacket right now. Like, I'm just wearing a suit jacket and it's fine. I'm going about 100 kilometers an hour. I put it in normal mode. I still have the heat cranked. I still have all that stuff. Yeah, for the most part, I think it's super doable. If I put the wind visor, a baffle thing in here, it would probably be even more better, if that makes sense. But for this, I don't know, like, I think it's still doing a pretty good job. If I had to go on a long distance like this, at 5 degrees Celsius, I would be cold. There's no doubt about it, I would be cold. But for right now, today, if I was just driving through wine country or whatever, it's a blast. Like, I think it's definitely doable for a car like this. And the fact that you can hear that engine so much better with it being a convertible, I'm obsessed with, and I don't use that very often. I'm obsessed with how that is. Especially, I went through a little tunnel back there when I was getting on the highway, and hearing an echo around me, oh, just great. I could definitely get used to this, and I really do think I want to buy one of these. So we'll see what happens. I don't know, like, it's just a nice night. The sun is kind of setting behind me. It's not even summer yet, and I could just imagine spending my summers with this car. If I didn't feel like I was already pretty tapped with all the other hobbies and expenses I have, I would be adding this to that for sure. I'm just gonna do another, we're still on the highway for like another half a kilometer. Oof, I'd just do that. That's just so good. It's so good. I have the best job in the world. This is the best company in the world. I just don't see how, like, owning like a yacht or something could be more fun than this, although it would match it very well. The blue and white is very nautical to me, and I grew up living near the water, and I think that could be why I have such a soft spot for this. Also, it reminds me of like a Miami Vice vibe. Maybe it's the sunglasses and the sport jacket, I don't know. I think the first time I drove a convertible, I thought it was weird that like people could see the back of your head, but in this, I don't know, I'm just kind of used to it. Size-wise, maybe it's the size, like it's more of like a mid-size coupe. So it feels like a little bit more substantial, I guess. But overall, really good drive. I'm super impressed with it. It's definitely my favorite car in the lineup. I know I just got asked that recently. Now it's the LC Convertible. And I mean it. This is like a form of therapy, I think. I mean, having a bad day and being able to drive a car like this, unbelievable. I think it's great. So there you have it. An on-road driving experience of the LC500, and I'm super worried that after spending the time with this today, I'm probably gonna end up buying one because the driving experience on this, and I know I use that word a lot in this channel, Not only is it fun to drive, it's super comfortable, smooth, we have high-end materials, an amazing sounding engine, and this blue-white combination, especially in the summertime, is just to die for. So let me know in the comments below what you thought of this video and the LC in this color combination and package. And let me know if there's any other driving videos that you think I should do for any of the vehicles in the Lexus lineup, or maybe even outside the Lexus lineup. So we'll see what happens. And I'll see you in the next video.